We are doing an early stream today because busy evening. I have my sports club to go to and some other stuff to do. So one meeting, and then um, sports club. So early live today. We want to experiment with different times as well because we don't know what time people actually get into the show. You know, I mean, we usually do the show late, like evenings, 6, 7, 5 sometimes, but I think we're gonna experiment and change up the time during the day and see what best fits with an audience for our kind of content, right? Our kind of content is different. It's not really entertainment. No, it's not entertainment at all. I hope, I never become an entertainer. Although life could be entertaining and nice and fun, we want to be on that serious side of things, right? We want to be the guys and the girls the people in our company who would come out with content that improves human beings, the life of human beings. So I'm on today for a little bit. What time is it? It's close to 3:30, so I'll be on for like maybe half an hour. Okay, good. Thank you, Mano and Shandine. Appreciate it. These guys look out for me. Sharoz, I know you're going to see the live notification. Please watch it. Okay, and see you tomorrow. Today I want to talk to you about an important thing that we dealt with, we touched on yesterday, which is we made a conscious decision. Well, at least one of my shareholders, Manu and I, we had a board meeting and we discussed our weekly meeting. We discussed an important topic, and his idea was that we should publicly, because I always talk about these things, right? We should publicly align our company and the goals that we have at Sims Books and Qualpet with where the world is going, and that's what I want to touch on today before I go off and do my thing. I go sports club and keep fit, right? Get the belly down, and get the blood circulating, and self-care, right? Remember, self-care, self-development, self-mastery, self-transcendence, and only when we achieve that selfhood, if you will, can we self-express ourselves to the world. I like this whole idea about self-expression. Self-expression is a topic I'm going to touch on for an entire show at some point in the future. But self-expression, we want to express who we are to the world, and the way we express who we are to the world, that's not what we're talking about today. I'm just touching on this for a little bit. When we express ourselves, self-expression to the world, the best way to do it is express yourself through a project that identifies a problem in the world, a problem that you're passionate about, that you care about. So you see some common, a common human problem that baffles human nature, that maybe has been forever there, and nobody saw it before you see it. God, universe, whatever, shows it to you and say, here's a problem people are going through. Help find a solution. You might not totally find a solution. Like our goal with this vision that we have, this mission, is that every human being on the face of the earth over the next generation would live to write and publish their own Sims book, their own book. And that's what people live for. They live to develop this creative message that their life is, and then put it in a global media platform, which is what they have at their fingertips. We all do. Social media, right? Put out a small social media platform, YouTube channel, Facebook page, Instagram account, TikTok even, LinkedIn, Twitter. Get your message out there. You have to craft and develop your own message that is your dream life, your possibility. Invent that possibility. What is possible with my life? In terms of contribution to human society, not what you can get. Every human being lives, so what I can gather and get, and we go to the grave like this, right? There's a saying, we go to the graves with our hands open. Nothing. We accumulate all this stuff and then it goes to the garbage. So we want to live to contribute, to give. So when we leave the earth, we actually go like this. We would have given away all that we owned, like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and all the rich guys. So we want to develop some kind of project, and this project expresses who we are, self-expression, to the world, to our community. It could be to a small group of people, or it could be at a global village. So you develop a message, which is a self-expression of who you are, a unique message that is original to you, based on your passions and what you see necessary in the world, and then you express that through a project on global media, which is now freely available to everybody online, right? And build a membership platform through this global media, this is the essence of what we are saying here. This is the Qualped Life. Through a Sims book, we train you how to develop your message. You write it with our artificial intelligence program, and then you publish it in a Sims book format. The Sims book format is a multitude of up to 60 actually, but you can choose 4, 5, 3, 2, whatever, of income stream, revenue stream, through the Sims books. So it's a business platform as well. It's you Inc. really, but it's also your story being told out there. And then you put that out on a global media platform that you develop, that you own, which is your media platform, right? That's the beauty of the world we live in today. The beauty of the world we live in today is that we do not need to depend anymore on CNN and ABC and RT and Al Jazeera and all these big, massive conglomerate that we call mass media. We can do our own individual media and still reach thousands and thousands of people. Some people are reaching millions and millions of people. And so this is the message that we have for our people, the people who align with us in the Qualped Life. And of course, you build a membership platform. And that membership platform could be your sustaining thing through membership, paid memberships, cooperative money, or subscriptions, right? Cooperative money, subscriptions, memberships, royalties, that kind of thing, licensing, and that kind of thing. So that's in essence, that's how you can build a project, using our system called the Qualped Life and Sims books and our platform to self-express who you are to the global village. To the global village. The world we live in today is literally a global village. Try it, experiment with it right now. Send a tweet or a Facebook message, put it online, or even a TikTok video or whatever you want to do, put it online. It goes instantly around the world. Anybody could access it anywhere. You're in America, they could access it in Africa or in Antarctica or wherever. Instantly, your message can go all over the world. And there is such beauty in that and such opportunity in that, but we don't make use of it, and we want to change the conversation. Remember? That's what we said yesterday. We want to change the conversation. We must change the conversation. The conversation the human being is having today is one that is leading to war in Ukraine. The conversation the human race is having today is one that is leading to angst and despair in human life, so that a place like Canada, supposedly one of the richest, most advanced civilization in the history of humanity, this land of Canada and America and Europe, on the top of the mountain of the history of civilization, we're on the tip of the mountain top, the summit of the mountain in terms of economic development, technological development, of advancement in healthcare, in whatever area you can think of. Places like Canada, Scandinavian countries, even America, much of Europe, Western Europe, even Eastern Europe now, are all right at the tip, at the top of civilization. Human civilization, masses, hundreds of millions of people are now living a high quality of life. In India, in China, even in Africa, Nigeria, and all over the place. So all over Asia, right? So humanity has lifted ourselves to such a high level. But yet, look at the conversation that is going on in the world. In a place like Canada, we are sitting on a society where there's a huge affliction. The affliction of opioid. The mayor of our city here in Oshawa, Dan Carter, comes on the show every now and again and talks about this situation facing the city, which is opioid addiction. And throughout Canada it's a problem, throughout North America it's a problem, where millions of people are hooked on opioids, thousands die every year, and you would think the richest society in the world, the most advanced, where opportunities are available, you can do whatever you want, you can choose the life that you want, and yet people are hooked on opioids, homeless, going crazy, mental health addictions, and all those things. So we must change the conversation. We must change the conversation, because despite what the industrial age achieved for humanity in terms of material wealth, I mentioned this yesterday when I was on the show, Eric Fromm, I'm reading his book, Escape from Freedom. And one point he made is that mankind made leaps and bounds. We progressed in rational thought. We were able to draft laws and argue in parliament and politicians, and we can rationally, man has advanced in terms of our ability to converse and get things done. However, emotionally And Eric Fromm makes this point in his book Escape from Freedom, which I totally align myself with, and I agree with him, because what he's saying is humankind, our emotional state, the emotions of man, the emotional side of humanity is still caught. He called it the Stone Age. Maybe he's exaggerating. He was exaggerating when he wrote that book. But really and truly, the emotional side of man, there's a lady on TikTok who I follow, talks about emotional intelligence. And there's a book on emotional intelligence, and a whole movement actually around the world. They teach it in university and all that, about emotional intelligence. The world's focused so long on IQ, intelligence quotient, or intelligence, the rational intelligence, mental intelligence, mind intelligence, that we neglected for a very, very long time emotional intelligence. So the mind of man has developed well, but the emotional side of us is so broken, including individually, but society as a whole as well. We're so broken emotionally. Each one of us, including myself, I'm not excluding myself from this. We're all emotionally broken. This is why relationships don't work. This is why friendships fall apart. This is why people don't get along. This is why Putin is attacking Ukraine. Well, the story is deeper than that, but on a surface level, on one level, Putin is attacking Ukraine because of lack of emotional intelligence, right? However you look at it, you can make that argument. And so we want to change the conversation. We want to change the conversation. Today, I want to go in quickly. We're not going to have a very long, what should I call this? Talk show today, or dialogue, or whatever you want to call it, conversation. The Qualpit conversation, right? Okay, so we are good. Yes. Thank you, guys. Guys are looking out for us, making sure the technology is working well, the audio and video and everything. It's a spring day, so if you see on our screen the rainy kind of day, it's not snow, it's rain. It's really, you need to change some of the scenes that we use. Anyway, today I want to talk to you about why, because some people might be upset by us saying this, that we're aligning ourselves, our vision, our goals, our entire operation to promote and to support the Great Reset. You know, this guy Schwab from World Economic Forum and Prince Charles from the British royal family, they are the architect, or the author, if you will, of a document called the Great Reset, and they published it, right? And the Great Reset is about remaking the global human order, in terms of the new world order, bring about a more civilized world order than we've had before in the industrial age. And then of course there is which has been, nobody talks about it now, even the Elders organization has gone, you know, the people who lead the world, like the Elders, there's an organization called the Elders. These are elder statesmen and stateswomen, a lot of them from Scandinavian countries like Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland, but also other countries around the world. Nelson Mandela was part of them, Bishop Tutu was part of them, Richard Branson, the businessman, is part of the Elders group as an advisor. But they're silent on some key issues. These people, they would create a trend, and then for a while it's trending, and then it falls off the map, and people forget the agenda that is set out to improve human society. One of that I'm talking about is this SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. We know there are 19 goals that were developed after 2015. From 2000 to 2015, we had the Millennium Development Goals. Not all of it was achieved, but some of it was achieved through the United Nations. This was to improve the lot of humanity. They were very poor, and gross poverty they eradicated, and all those things. And then after the 2015, not all the goals were achieved, so they invented a new set of goals at the UN, which the Elders organization is kind of pushing as well, called Sustainable Development Goals, and those are 19 goals. Now, we are aligning ourselves as a company, as a movement, as a mission to support and see and even support, but also promote the SDGs, because these are good goals. We feel, people say, critics, right, say, it's Bill Gates who want to do population control. No. The SDGs are human rights goals. They're goals to improve the rights of human beings. And then of course, clean climate. We can't support a new world order, a new global humanity unless we actually do something, not only talk, but do something with the clean climate agenda. So these three things we are aligning ourselves with no apologies. The Great Reset, Sustainable Development Goals, and the Clean Climate Agenda. Now let me talk quickly about the Great Reset. Why do we need the Great Reset, and why are we supporting? Why I, as a journalist, from a journalism background, and an author, and all this stuff that I do, life coaching and everything, why would I support the Great Reset? Now the Great Reset, it's instructive. It might be ironic, but it's very instructive that the head of the World Economic Forum came up with the idea of Schwab. He came up with the idea of the Great Reset, and people criticize him. He's an old guy. He's like 80 or something years old, from Germany, and they say, oh, this rich old guy wants to remake the world order so he can cream up all the money, which is petty. Nobody wants that. These rich guys, they're not about money. They're about power. And if you understand that, and you yourself empower yourself as an individual, your life will be way better than you going out there thinking, I need to make money, I need to make money, I need to make money. And you make money, and you put it in the bank, and then inflation happens. Canada now, inflation is 6.7%. Then you have money depreciation, you have increase of cost of living, the breadbasket of your grocery every month is escalating, gas price is escalating. In other words, you put your money in the bank and it's declining every year, right? Even your equity in your house, you think your house is going up in value. That's not really happening. What is happening is the dollar is decreasing in value. So when your house was supposed to be $200,000, it's $1 million. Guess what? That $1 million is really worth less than $200,000 in terms of buying power. The numbers look big, like inflation. In Venezuela, there was inflation recently, I think last year, and maybe it's still going on, where you buy bread with a wheelbarrow of cash. So big numbers don't mean anything. When people say their house is valued at $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $1.5 million, big numbers don't mean anything. People get carried away. The sheep, the normal pleb on the street, they don't know what's going on. And so they get carried away with these little things. You know, the elites mind control you with big numbers. Your house is worth 1.5 million. No, it's not. The money has depreciated to such an extent that your house, that the numbers go big, but the value goes small. Get it? So whereas we used to, when I came to Canada 27 years ago, wow, long time. Bread, we could buy a bread for 38 cents. Gas was 35 cents. Now gas is nearly $2 in Ontario per liter. And bread is like, you know, a good loaf of bread is like nearly $3. And so it's gone up, what, you know, 10, 12, 20 times. It's the devaluing of the money, not the appreciation of value. And that's a key thing. So we have to change the conversation. We have to change the conversation. And why do we need a Great Reset? Because Charles Schwab, who is head of the World Economic Forum, this guy is sitting in a position where he gets all the reports, he gets all the intelligence, he gets all the data from countries around the world, and he looks and him and his analysts, they analyze these data. You as an average person don't do that. You don't even read a book. You don't, and so people go protesting on the street and criticizing the Great Reset, criticizing SDGs and clean climate. A lot of people criticize the clean climate, the conservative people and all that, without doing the work, without looking into the data. So Schwab and all these guys looked into the data and realized something very, very crucial, very important. The world economic system does not work anymore. It worked for 100 years, what we might call the American century, but now it doesn't work. It's time for, given certain things, right? Given the advance in technology, given the advance in human knowledge, given the advance in the possibilities for augmenting human intellect, for augmented reality. When we talk about augmented reality is not only putting on the glasses or Quest or any of those things of playing games like augmented reality and virtual reality games. Augmented reality means we improve reality. We make reality better than we have experienced it. Because what is reality? Reality is what you make it. Reality is what I make it. People say, okay, this chair I'm sitting in, or this camera that I'm looking into, that's reality. That thing is real. It exists. It's there. Well, reality is what we make it. That camera is there because we made it. The chair is there, we made the chair and we call it a chair and we invent the use for the chair. You can sit in it. If a monkey comes here, they wouldn't know it's a chair because they don't know language. Reality only exists in language, right? If you could name something, it becomes real. If you can't name it, it's not real anymore. And I won't get into the argument of it, but I can do that and show you that reality only exists in language. So if you're going through a hard time, you think this is my reality, there is so much despair and there is so much anxiety and there is so much fear, it's all happening in language, in self-talk, social talk, cosmic talk. Our conversations that we have with ourselves, our conversations we have with the people around us, the conversations we're having with the cosmos, the universe, or God in prayer or meditation. Sometimes our conversation, not sometimes, always, if you're living a defeated life, it's in your conversation. Don't look to people. I mean, you might need people to give you insight into the kind of language that you use, like coaches and therapists and psychologists and all that. But at the end of the day, everything, therapy, that's what therapy is. That's what a psychologist does. They look into how you're talking to yourself, how you're talking to the people around you, how you're talking to the universe, to God, to the divine realm, and they change your language. That's what they do. And you call it, oh, I got therapy and I'm healed and I'm okay. In church, that's what they do. It's all happening in language. So whatever you're going through in life, look into your language. Look into the self-talk you're having and the social talk, the people you surround yourself with. Very, very important. Sometimes you might be okay in your self-talk. You might be positive. You might be affirmations and doing a reading and self-development, self-care, self-mastery, self-transcendence. You're expressing yourself well. Self-expression. You're doing your project, which is your life. But the people around you, and could be those people you might not have chosen, could be family, could be co-workers, could be friends, whoever they are. They're babbling in your ears and you're drowning out that inner voice of your spirit telling you this is what life is all about. So gotta be careful who you surround yourself with. Test people. That's what I always do. You push people to the limit and you test them and make sure this person has a spirit that is open for progressive, positive possibilities instead of, just existing and surviving and all those things. So let's zero in on why we are supporting the Great Reset. We must know why we're doing what we're doing, right? And so why are we supporting the Great Reset? For the simple reason that the world system does not work. The world system does not work. It doesn't work for countries. It doesn't work for individuals. It doesn't work for corporations. Now, we live in a world that is capitalist, right? That is economic based. Everything is about economics. And so we have a few global giants, corporations. And this guy, Michael Moore, did a documentary a couple of years ago called The Corporation. And he likened the corporation, any corporation registered in Canada or America, including our corporation, Qualped. The corporation has so many rights, like a human being, but the rights are so warped. The corporation can do whatever it wants. The corporation can literally trample on the lives of people and the rights of people, on its employees and even the public. Go damage the environment. Look how many, you know why we need the clean climate agenda? Because corporations, and a lot of it American corporations and European corporations, they damage the planet. Yes, they increase standard of living all over the world, but there's a big cost to that. And the cost is that the environment was damaged, and now we got to go clean up the environment. We got to implement a clean climate agenda. And still these corporations do not want to let go. ExxonMobil and Shell and all these gas companies and all the media companies, they don't want to let go because they benefit from the status quo. They benefit from this system that is destructive to the natural environment where human beings are supposed to sustain themselves from. We dig up gardens and cut down fruit trees and say we're going to process all the food, go into a factory and buy food instead of planting food in your backyard or planting the lawns out in streetway and by the highways with fruit trees that people could go and pick fruit and vegetable. That's how it's supposed to be. And it isn't. The world is messed up because of corporations having this, what Michael Moore called psychotic. He said corporations are like a psychotic person, like a sociopath. that is crazy. That's what corporations have become. And so corporations have in food processing, in the food industry. The food industry is, food should not be a commodity that is traded. You know what's going on right now? Here's how messed up the world is. And here's why we need the Great Reset. And you can argue from now till tomorrow. We will argue back and say why we need the Great Reset. Here is what's going on. Russia invaded Ukraine. From Russia and Ukraine, a lot of wheat and potato and grain would come out of there to the global market, and oil from Russia as well to Europe. Because of the war and this threat of Russia supplying oil to the world economy, oil prices jumped. And so we find gasoline price all over the world is like very, very expensive. It's nearly double from what it was last year, from before the war. It's gone up at least close to 100%. Excuse me. But here's the thing. There was a guy on TikTok, not TikTok, Instagram, who said, and he's gloating and he's laughing. He said, guess what? This is horrible. He says, guess what? And he's laughing and he's so happy. We can make money with wheat and grains and potato and all that because of the war in Ukraine. There's a big scarcity of these things on the world market, and therefore you can invest. There is something called futures commodity trading. You can trade on wheat and potato commodities, like for example, and these things people actually do, and it's horrible. People look to make money. If there's a monsoon storm in India or Pakistan or Bangladesh that threatens the rice crop, you know what people do? Some people, investors, they would go invest in futures commodity like rice, because they know rice is going to be scarce because there's huge flood, there's disaster, these people are suffering, but rice price is going to go up, so they're going to go invest in commodity prices. People are doing that now for wheat and all that, because the war in Russia and Ukraine is drying up global supply of wheat, grains, and potato and all those, vodka even. And so there are people who are actually investing in these things, thinking, oh, we can make a lot of money. Look, there's a war going on and there's scarcity, and therefore we can make a lot of money if we invest in the futures commodity stocks of these things. It's horrible. That's how human beings are. And if you support something like that, if you, just for the sake of making money, see millions of people suffer from want of food, including all the poor people around the world, in Asia, in Africa, in America. Look at places, even in America. Don't think America doesn't have homelessness and poverty, even in Canada. Look at Skid Row in California. It's one of the worst places on this planet. I mean, they're trying to clean it up now. But Skid Row in America is one of the worst places. I mean, people have been living on the street in tents, on a street named Skid Row, for generations. Thousands of people. Now they're trying to clean it up and put in tiny houses for people and all those things. But my point is, we cannot look to benefit economically, making money, gloating, laughing like this guy on Instagram. You know, he has no character. And I said that to him. I sent a comment, oh, what a horrible person you are, to look to make money off of the war in Russia and Ukraine when people are suffering and you're gloating and laughing because you want to fill up your bank account. It's horrible. That's the world we live in. That's the world we live in. People are saying we don't need to change the world system. In COVID, people were saying, oh, we need to go back to normal. What is normal? What is normal? You go to work 9 to 5, go home, have a beer or drink or some pharmaceutical, numb yourself, watch crazy stuff on TV, including all these nonsensical movies and comedy shows where people swear like a fish. And you think that's life? We need a great reset. We need to reset the entire human system of the earth, because it's not working. It's not working. How many children are being trafficked right now? Young girls, men and women. Look at the Epstein case with a woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, recruiting young girls for these powerful men to do whatever they want with them. That's the world we live in. It can't work. We got to change the conversation. We got to change the conversation, and we at Qualped are setting out to do that. And we're going to do it unapologetically. We're not apologizing for taking the stand of supporting the Great Reset. What is the Great Reset? The Great Reset is saying the world system as it is doesn't work, and just like you reset your computer, well, we used to do that. Now we don't, because Windows cleaned up its system, or and Apple as well. But there was a time when you reset your computer, and you still do it sometimes now. If it crashes, the world system is crashing. The world system is crashing. You have all kinds of organized crime, drug dealers, money laundering, massive money laundering. The rich people having offshore bank accounts in the Caribbean and elsewhere not paying taxes. Biden now is trying to get them to start pay taxes. They're kicking and screaming. You had a man like Donald Trump. I'm sorry if you support Donald Trump, but a man of such a despicable character who would demean women became the president of America and led the free world. And called when they voted him out of office, voters in America voted him out. Guess what he did? He caused the whole mob to attack the White House. This is inexcusable for the world we live in, and you say we don't need a Great Reset. People sit and they completely waste their life, not reading a single book for the year, or not caring about self-development and self-care. There are people who don't even exercise. And they say, oh, we want the world to remain the same. We don't need the Great Reset. And yet the next breath they would say, oh, raise minimum wage and give us more money and help us to go buy more liquor and kill ourselves drinking and getting drunk. It's stupid. Now, I'm not saying all of humanity is like that. There are good people. And not really good people. There are people, I should rephrase that. There are people living decent lives. And there are people who are trying. But generally, for humanity, this world is not working. And we can look at one place to see the result of that, which is how children are being treated by their parents. A lot of parents are so busy paying bills and stressing out about this life that they invented for themselves. Not invented, they conform to what society tells them to do. And they go work and pay, but they don't have time to raise a family. They're stressing about bills. They're stressing about their own life. They have their own emotional breakdowns. Remember we said earlier in the show, like Erich Fromm was saying, human emotional intelligence has not advanced, has not developed. It's still very, very primitive. The emotional state of the average human being is extremely primitive. You know, so recently having gone through, and I'm still reading it, Escape from Freedom, which is Erich Fromm's book, that talks about the human being in terms of human nature. We want our Escape from Freedom. You should check it out. One of the things he talks about is our emotional state is so damaged, so primitive, so backward, so tribalistic. And so now when I deal with human beings, I'm looking at the emotion that is going on there. Where is that emotional state? Is that person even trying to become emotionally intelligent or stable or to deal with their trauma? It's not your fault or my fault or any of us. It's not our fault that our emotions they didn't teach us in school how to be emotionally intelligent. They didn't teach you in your family or in religion. You go to church, whatever religion you are. Nobody teaches anybody to be emotionally intelligent. Yes, you can go learn it by reading the books. There are books on it and scientific studies and all those things. But you have to go find that yourself. No institution on the face of this earth teaches human beings as a part of the system, the global system, emotional intelligence. So our emotional state is in a turmoil, is in chaos, and we got to clean that up. We got to change the conversation. We got to change the conversation. So when I talk to people now, this is one consideration always in my mind. Rationally, this person is making sense, but where is it coming from emotionally? Because emotions, and I don't want to get into this now, but I'm just quickly going to mention our emotions, our mind, our mental state, our thinking, and our will, the place from where we make decisions. These three things, emotion, mind, and the thinking, and will, the will from where we will stuff, right? Your decision comes from a place called your will. It's a sense in your soul. So those three things are resident in the soul. Just like your body has 5 and more senses, like smell, taste, touch, and all those things, but also a sense of balance and all that. It's more than 5 senses the body has. Our soul also has certain senses. And the 3 main senses in our soul are our emotions, our mind, which is thinking, and the will, the seat of our decision-making process. And if your emotions are messed up and not developed, and we don't practice emotional intelligence, we don't develop emotional intelligence, we cannot make good decisions in life. that's why self-care and self-development is so important. Self-mastery is where, this is our thing in Qualped. We have this mindset training, which is in self-care, self-development, self-mastery, self-transcendence, and self-expression. Self-expression through a project that you develop, which is in the form of a Sims book. But in that self-care part, the self-mastery part is where self-development is mind, right, where you read and develop yourself. But the self-mastery part is where we train people for emotional intelligence. Self-mastery, you master your emotions, you master your hormones, you master your anxiety and despair and angst, and you master yourself, that you don't blow your handle every time something happens. You know, I have friends who any little thing will trigger them and they go boom. I know people, you know, they just completely lose control. It's unacceptable. So these things we are working on. What time is it? What time did we start? Around 3, I think. Okay, we're going to wrap up very soon because this is a short talk show today. The Qualped conversation, again. We're doing it early today, and I guess my audience is different. A lot of people are going to hear who don't listen to my show would hear my craziness and my weirdness. But that's good. We want to expand our audience. So yeah, we are supporting the Great Reset. We believe the Great Reset is necessary. The Great Reset is actually a reset of the global system, where it's a new update, to use computer language. It's a new update of the operating system of the world. And we need people to grasp this and to get it. If you run your computer on Windows 97 or Windows 98 or Windows 2000, it's going to crash and crash and crash. The world is running on a system called the Industrial Age, which has been going on for 100 years, and it's crashing and crashing and crashing. So guess what now? We face a world that is in, every single country is complaining about serious inflation. Big problem. Global economic downturn. All the stocks are down right now across America, Canada, and Europe, and Asia. There's a war going on, as you know, between Ukraine and Russia. That will escalate. I'm not saying it may, I'm saying it will escalate into a nuclear war at some point. We have civil war still going on in Syria. People are ignoring it right now because it's not news anymore. Civil war in Yemen, civil war in South Sudan. There is all kinds of economic and political problems simmering below the surface in America. You have in Haiti 90 gangs are on the streets of Port-au-Prince in Haiti, terrorizing that country. People can't even leave their homes. Haiti is in serious turmoil. The world media doesn't care, doesn't report anything. You watch the news and you see all kinds of terrible things happening in the world. We must change the conversation. We have to change the conversation. You might be concerned with your own life and say, what do I care about the world system? Whatever is going on in Haiti, Ukraine and Russia, and refugees running from Iran and Iraq and Kurdistan and all those places, I don't care, it's not on my doorstep. Yeah, you can live like that. That's not us. If you don't care about your human family, how can you care even about yourself? To care about you is to care about others. We have to change the conversation. I love the work of a guy called Leo Buscaglia. Leo Buscaglia wrote and gave speeches all over the world about love, about humanity loving each other, about us being friends with each other. We had the religious leaders, Jesus, and all the great men and women who walk the face of this earth talking about loving each other, being kind, being gentle, being good. And look at the world we live in. Look at the world we live in. I won't even list the litany of wars that are going on in the world right now. You go through the news tonight. Objective news. Go online. We have a website where we're publishing headlines every day, and we really need to ramp that up and get it out, that it's marketed, more people see it instead of just putting it there. But look at the headlines that are going on around the world, and you would know we're far from our potential. We're far from activating this human potential that beats in our heart, this divine spark, this energy that is there that says look up and think great things and aspire and to transcend this world system and find something original in you and develop it and put it out into the world. Instead, we live in a world where most human beings will die with their poems in them, with their songs, with their novels, with their stories, with their talent, with their gifting. 7.9 billion people on the planet. How sad it is that most people, like all of history, would die with their gifting, their talent, their spark never ignited. Never looking up and say, not only do I dream and aspire, but I'm going to achieve. You know? And so we want to change the conversation. We're going to do our bit to change the conversation. The Great Reset, SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, and the Clean Climate Agenda, we are setting out to support those things. And if you're on board with us, understand that the reason we're doing this is because the world does not work. For the individual person, the world does not work. We need to make the world a better place, a more workable place for the individual person, not for the masses of society necessarily, but for the individual person. Let's live our dream life. Let's aspire and look up and achieve that human potential that beats in our heart. Okay, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Again, the show was early today because I have my evening is booked up at Sports Club and all that, and a meeting. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow, I guess later in the day. Alright, take care, have a good evening, and enjoy.